This was definitely the hardest unhaul I've done in a long time. Hey, what's up? My name is Daniela, and guess what we are doing today? Well, yes, we are getting rid of even more books. I have made quite a few unhauls on my channel, and I like to keep my shelves moving. I like to send most of the books I read back into the world. I have very limited space, as you can see behind me, and this year I'm also preparing for a bigger move that should be happening at the end of this year. And I'm planning to get rid of 90% of my possessions, which does include books. Quick disclaimer, if you gifted me any of these books, just know that I always greatly appreciate it. I read all of the books that I got through my wishlist. My wishlist is now closed, but I just get rid of most of the books I read, so that's something you should know before you gift me a book. And also, before we get into it, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I make bookish and travel content. But without further ado, let's talk through all of these books, if I like them, why exactly I'm getting rid of them, where they are going, and all of that. So let's start off with a book that was a very recent acquisition. I bought it for an in-person book club that I attended here in Prague. And it was Yesteryear by Claire Burke. This is a book that has been really hyped lately, and it's about a farm traditional wife influencer who one day wakes up and she's at her farm, but in the middle of the 19th century, and suddenly, without all of the help that she doesn't really talk about publicly in her videos, she's not happy about that farm life. This was really fun. It could have been stronger when it came to the messaging, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to that book club. So now I'm actually passing it on to a friend here in Prague who is organizing book swap events every month that I've been attending. So yeah, happy to pass it to the next person. Another book that is going to a friend is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. So I read this book a couple of years ago, really loved it, gave it 5 stars. It's about a fairy researcher, there's a romance. I really enjoyed it. I haven't continued with the series, which I should, and I thought that I would reread this one before I do, but then I decided against it. So now I just kind of skimmed it, and I'm probably going to read some recap. But my friend Cleo from Bemused Bookworm, who I'm going to meet in person for the first time this month, which is very exciting, decided to claim this one and give Heather Fawcett a second try because she wasn't like blown away by her new book. So I hope this one will work for her better, and I hope that I will eventually continue with the series. Then I have a book that was my most recent finished book, so I'm really getting rid of it while it's hot. And that was A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. This had been on my theoretical TBR for years, but I finally got it a couple of months ago. I previously really loved 7 Days in June by Tia Williams, so she was definitely one of the authors that I wanted to read more from, and I'm really glad I did because I very much enjoyed this one as well. This is an adult romance, and we follow a woman who is the youngest in her family, and her family doesn't really take her seriously. She's supposed to take part in the huge family business, but all she wants is to own her own flower shop. So she moves to Harlem, New York, and she opens one up. And then we also have kind of a second timeline of Harlem in the 1920s. This was really enjoyable. I really liked following the characters. We have the slight sci-fi plot twist, which I really like. And it has a great atmosphere, and I also learned some things about the culture of that time. And I'm going to follow that up with another book that I also finished very recently, and that is Don't Touch My Hair by Emma Dabiri. So this is a non-fiction that focuses on black hair, but also much more than that. It was really interesting. I learned a lot from it, and I would definitely recommend it. And also, one of the things I really liked about it was that it actually mentioned like a lot of things that were also mentioned in this one. So it was so great to read these two kind of in tandem, because I got a lot more context for a lot of the things that were mentioned. And then I also have this little tiny but really powerful book, What White People Can Do Next, also by Emma Dabiri, which is another non-fiction that I absolutely loved. It talked about racial inequality and other things from a different perspective, I felt like. So If you were to pick up one book on this topic, I would really recommend this one. Switching gears, we have a fantasy series that I'm in the middle of reading, and that is Her Majesty Royal Coven by Juno Dawson, and I also have the sequel, The Shadow Cabinet. So I have read these two. I have started reading Queen Bee, which is like the book between the second and third book, and then I also planned to finish the series preferably soon. And I was thinking that I could keep these books for reference while I'm not done with the series yet, but then I was just like, this is taking up a lot of space, I don't really need it. I can read recaps, and yeah, hopefully I don't forget that the series exists when it's not on my site. But this is now one of my favorite fantasy series. We follow a coven of witches, basically a group of friends, group of women who are now in their 30s, and some of them are serving the crown of the UK, and they are fighting evil forces, and it has so many twists and is just so fun to follow. I love the characters, and I enjoyed this one even more than the first one. And now it doesn't even matter that these don't match because I'm getting rid of them anyway. I have one young adult book, and that is Queens of Geek by Jen Wilde. I absolutely love this book, and I thought I would be rereading it, but then I was like, I am fine. And this is about 3 Australian friends who go to a convention in the US. One of them is an influencer. There's also autistic rep that I really enjoyed, and it's also queer, so all of the good things, but I think I'm ready to pass it on. Speaking of queer books, I have more. Surprise, surprise. So we have More Than a Best Friend and You're the Problem It's You by Emma R. Alban. This is a new adult historical romance series that is set in, 19th century England. This one I really loved, have read it twice now and gave it 5 stars both of the time. This one was slightly disappointing, I still really loved being in that world and with those characters. I just didn't love this romance as much as the first one, but on the whole I would still really recommend this series, especially like if you like Bridgerton vibes and stuff like that, or also if you like Jane Austen but want some steam. Yeah, these look quite innocent, but they are quite steamy. Actually, quite a few of these books are queer. So we also have 2 books by Alexandria Belfleur. So I have The Fiancé Farce and Count Your Lucky Stars. So this one is book 3 in the Written in the Stars series. So we follow the same friend group, but each book has a different couple. I really like this series and the world. It is set in Seattle and it's an adult romance series. The first book and the third book are female-female, and the second book is female-male. This one was cute. I really enjoyed being in the friend group again, in the world, and yeah, it was fine. It isn't like my new favorite sapphic romance, but really nice, and overall I would also recommend this series. The Fiancé Farce is a standalone, and I actually love this one a lot, so I give this one 5 stars. And in this one we follow one girl who's from like a really rich family, and she starts to date a bookstore owner because she needs to be married to like inherit all of the riches. And there's just so much like drama of the rich family, and their romance is incredibly sweet, so this one I really loved. Then we also have Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail by Ashley Herrick Blake. So this is book 2 in one of my favorite series, which is the Bradfall series. This is an adult romance series of 3 books, and they are all sapphic. The first book is Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and I gave that one 5 stars, and I also gave this one 5 stars, and I thought I would be rereading it, but then again I decided that I'm ready to part with it. Again, we have this friend group, so we are back with them, and I really enjoyed how in the first book Astrid isn't really likable, and in this one I really came to love her. This is my second favorite of the series because yeah, the first one has to be my favorite because Claire Sutherland has all of my heart, and I also really like Delilah and their romance, so this one was just the second favorite, but overall I would really recommend the series as well. Okay, and then we have Infamous by Lex Croucher, and this was my first Lex Croucher. I've been really meaning to read them for a long time, and I was a bit hesitant going into this one because it doesn't have like glowing reviews, but I'm so glad I gave it a chance because I ended up loving it and giving it 5 stars. This one is admittedly a bit messy. It is messy. So in this one we have a young woman who has to realize throughout the book that she is queer and actually wants to be with her best friend, but in the process she's also groomed and abused by a person who's supposed to be like a Lord Byron rival. So they are invited to his estate in the middle of nowhere and stuff happens there. It wasn't always happy reading, but I really enjoyed the messiness of that. We are nearing the end of the pile and we have yet another queer book. So we have The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. I had a feeling about this book, which sometimes I do, and I thought that I was going to love it, and you know what, I was absolutely correct. So this is a male-male romance and it is happening during kind of like Love Island knockoff reality show, or maybe not Love Island, maybe like Bachelor. I don't really watch dating shows. I watch real estate reality TV, so I don't really know anything about the dating ones, but yeah, it's like there's one guy and he's choosing from women even though he's actually gay, but you know, everybody kind of pretends something, and then the romance is with a guy who's on the staff. They both have a lot of things they have to kind of process from the past and take care of and realize about themselves to be able to be together, but this was the absolute sweetest. It was charming indeed, steamy, and yeah, I really loved it. We have one more non-fiction left in the stack, and that is Neuroqueer, a neurodivergent guide to love, sex and everything in between by CJ Dubara. So this is a book that I very randomly grabbed when I was in Gays the World in London, and I did like it. There were definitely things that were relatable and other things that were quite surprising to me, like a new point of view. So I am not sorry that I read it, but it's also not like one of my favorite books on this topic, so I can send it to the next person to read. Okay, and the last book in this stack, we are almost there, is In the Weeds by B.K. Burrison. So this is book 2 in the Lovelight Farm series. I really liked the first one. We get to know this Christmas farm that is selling Christmas trees, but they also have a cafe, and we get to meet the owner, and then she also has some other people who are working on the farm, so that's where the next books are going. And this one unfortunately was quite disappointing. I wasn't really enjoying it. I found it quite boring. This is kind of a second chance romance, so these two randomly hooked up and then it's about whether or not they will get back together. But yeah, I felt like the stakes and the tension wasn't really there and not much happened, and we didn't really get a lot of, you know, the kind of group dynamic. I'm still continuing with the series, but this definitely wasn't a favorite from the series. So that would be all. So as you could see, I enjoyed most of these, but it is time to part with them nonetheless. As I said, at least 2 of them are going to a friend, and I think I'm going to try to sell the rest of them to hopefully get a little bit of cash. This was definitely the hardest unhaul I've done in a long time, because a lot of these books are kind of still like newer and exciting, but at the same time I know that I don't want to store them and I don't need to keep hold of them while I'm moving around. Yeah, it's just not the era of my life, and my bookshelves are now much lighter and ready for a couple of new books coming in. Let me know if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. Let me know when was the last unhaul that you did. If you watched this far, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to click the notification bell to be notified of my new video. Have a great rest of the day, and I will see you next time. Bye!